Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host for tonight,
Josh Cooper.
What do you call a sword when it goes shopping? Hamster dance. Doctor, I think about you all the time. That's okay. You'll pull yourself together one day. I believe in you. Knock, knock. Who's there? Disciples. What if you get when you touch my leg? Debate. Ha 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 ha.
Why are you so white?
Good evening, children, and welcome to another episode of Cast vs. Crew. Tonight, we're going to be doing something slightly more child-friendly, and something which will hopefully send all of you to bed at a reasonable time. Drinking alcohol in the child-friendly episode is not a good idea, Martin. Without further ado, tonight's book, children, is the BFG, written by Roald Dahl and illustrated by Quentin Blake. Our story begins in an orphanage, and more specifically with a young girl by the name of Sophie, who is merely 8 years old. One night, she cannot sleep. She's tossing and turning in her bed. And suddenly, in the street, out of her window, she notices something. A giant man is walking down her road, carrying a bag and an odd trumpet in his hands. Sophie tries to hide from the man, but the giant man sees her and goes to pick her up, to take her away to his cave. And to have this scene to start off with, Meredith, I think I would like you to play the part of Sophie for this scene, and if you could play it as, Hermione Granger, perfect. And Martin, if you could be the mysterious giant man, and if you could play that part as, well, let's make it a wizard scene. Let's have Gandalf as the giant.
Where are we going?
Ah, my dear, the importance is not where we're going, but the journey.
I don't want to go on a journey. I have homework to do.
Ah, but in a land beyond the mountains, we can explore your dreams. This became really creepy. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Well, questioning whether or not Sophie would be okay by the end of this, the mysterious giant took Sophie to a large cave outside of town. Upon setting Sophie down, she begins to plead for her life, believing that the giant man will of course eat her, but the giant laughs her off and specifies that that's not of course what's going to happen, because he is in fact a very friendly giant. And he talks about how people of the world taste different, but each of them taste unpleasant in their own individual way. So for this scene, I liked your Sophie, Meredith, but I want to try a fresh Sophie. Matt, if you could do Sophie as Captain Jack Sparrow, I think, and let's try Meredith taking on the role of the giant. But Meredith, can you do it? Can you do it as Chewbacca? Because I mean, he was a big thing, so that might work.
Where are we? Where are we? Where have you taken me? We're BC. Oh, the beast! Where have you taken me? Oh! Oh! No! I don't speak properly. I demand to be taken back. I have a ship and a crew in that orphanage, and it is disastrous without me.
Well, that wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be. So let's move on, children. The BFG explains that Sophie must stay with him forever because no one can know that the BFG exists. And he warns her, more specifically, that if she were to leave the cave, his 9 neighbours would eat her if they caught her. Because he is the only giant who doesn't eat people. Everyone else, unfortunately, does. This giant in particular catches dreams, stores them in the cave, and gives the good ones to children all around the world and destroys the bad ones. And after taking Sophie in, sort of caring for her and introducing her to the wacky world of the giant, into the dream country and things like that, I'm trying desperately to look for the next plot point. Here we go. So, Sophie, using her powers of diplomacy, manages to convince the BFG to accompany her to Buckingham Palace to create a nightmare for the Queen of England to make man-eating giants appear, and so the Queen would go and take care of all of the giant problems and make sure that the world was safe for children and things like that. So, let's try and envision what this nightmare would be like. So, Martin, if you could be the Queen of England, I think that that Harry Potter would make an incredibly good Queen.
Harry Potter.
And I think the worst torment that Harry Potter could have, or certainly the worst person to torture him, Matt, if you could really strike fear into Harry Potter's heart by being Groot, that would be fantastic.
I am Groot.
My scar! My royal scar!
I am Groot.
What a terrible nightmare! I need to use my magic to defeat all of the giants! Hurrah!
And that was the conclusion that the Queen of England, Harry Potter, came to. A fleet of helicopters then accompanies Sophie and the BFG to the giants' homeland. And instead of firing nukes at them, they tie up the giants as they sleep and carry them back to London, where they're imprisoned in a giant pit with sheer walls and a high safety fence. And so, just for a little bit of comedic relief and, light entertainment for the children, let's really show the anger in this pit of giants. Each of you can be a giant. Let's make this a 3-person conglomeration. With Spock the giant, and let's have the return of Chewbacca, because I believe that one of them would be quite feral. Matt, if you could be Spock, Martin, if you could be Chewbacca this time, and Meredith, if you could have the last giant as Norman Bates, that would be superb.
Rage is illogical. We have been trapped in this pit for a reason. We must think on our sins.
I have committed so many sins.
Then maybe we should barter and say that we should be released, but you should stay, given that you're obviously the criminal among us.
I will stab you both to escape.
Live long and prosper, please.
Chewie is still not as funny as I thought he would be. But but regardless, as a reward, a huge castle is built to be the BFG's new home, with a little cottage next door that Sophie can live in. And everyone can live happily in England, and they receive gifts from all of the various governments in the world. And as we close the book on this picture, we could all say that everyone, except for the nasty giants, lived happily ever after. Thank you very
Yes.
Thank you very much for tuning in with another bedtime story with Cast vs. Crew. I don't know what this series is called, I've forgotten, but
it's series 2.
Yes.
Crew v Lockdown.
Oh yes, that's what it's called. Cast vs. Crew vs. Lockdown. Stay safe, stay away from harm, stay solid form, stay out of my room, or you'll see something you regret. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Remember when this was going to be the kids episode?
Yeah. Babies have got it made. They can wet themselves whenever they want to. Not quite the same for adults, is it? But we know you do it anyway. So here at Dan's Dazzling Diapers, we hope to relieve you of the social awkwardness of having to relieve yourself before relieving yourself. In fact, we want to make it so simple that you can use the toilet, your own personal toilet, anywhere you like, at any time, for anybody. That's right. Dan's Dazzling Diapers. We're there for you when no one else will be.
Calls charged at network rates. Calls from mobile phones may cost more depending on the mobile provider.